Good morning, dear students. I wholeheartedly welcome you to today's online class. We are passing a very critical time, but Rajshahi College has arranged online classes so that you can get to know your subject and get in touch with your educational life. Now, today we will start a new unit from your English for Today textbook, and today's lesson will be from Unit 12. Unit 12 is about environment and nature. So environment is a very important issue nowadays because the environment all over the world is getting polluted by different kinds of inconsiderate activities of human beings, and nature is facing a threat because of our thoughtless behavior. So this unit, environment and nature, is going to be a very important one, and we will start lesson 1 from this unit 12. Okay, so nature and environment, these are two important factors in our life, and we should protect our environment, we should protect our nature to live a peaceful life, to keep on our existence on earth. Now, from this unit, environment and nature, we are going to study lesson 1. So today's lesson is lesson 1, and lesson 1 is water everywhere. As you can see in the picture, that so far as you can see, there is only the margin of water. So water is a very important element of nature. Water is a very important element of our environment, and our lesson 1 will discuss various things related to our water resources. So let us begin our lesson. At the very beginning of our lesson, we are going to talk about our learning objectives. So by the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to understand the central concepts of the topic. So we will go into the details of this lesson. Know the causes and effects of river pollution. So in lesson 1, we are mainly going to talk about river pollution, and you will know a lot of things about river pollution in this lesson 1. Have some clear ideas about how our water resources are threatened. So our water resources are threatened with pollution, and you will know the causes. Why are they threatened? And finally, you will enrich your vocabulary by learning new words and phrases. Okay, so without any delay, we are going into the main topic. Okay, water everywhere. Now we have to read the 4 lines from Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So Samuel Taylor Coleridge is a very famous poet of the Romantic age of English literature. Samuel Taylor Coleridge wrote a very famous poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So it's a tale, it's a story about a very old mariner who went to his last sea voyage and experienced very unnatural things during his voyage. So it's a very interesting story. If you read English literature in higher classes, you will certainly read The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So these 4 lines in yellow, you can see, we have taken these 4 lines. Water everywhere, and all the boats did shrink. Water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. So it describes a situation. The ancient mariner committed a crime, and because of that, the ancient mariner was punished with a curse, and all the water stored on the ship were finished, and they began to suffer because of the want of water. But they were on the sea, so water was everywhere, but nor any drop to drink, because you know that you cannot drink seawater. Seawater is very salty. It is so salty that you cannot drink any drop of sea waters. Okay, now we will begin the lesson proper. Coleridge's poem, A Ballad, narrates the harrowing sea voyage of an old mariner who at one point of his journey didn't have any water to drink because of a curse. So what I was talking about a little bit earlier, S.T. Coleridge's poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, it was a ballad. A ballad is a kind of lyrical poem in which a story is told in the form of music. So the Rime of the Ancient Mariner was a ballad, and it narrates, that means it gives us the description of the harrowing sea voyage. Harrowing means something very terrible, something very dangerous, something very horrible. Okay, so the poem talks about the horrible journey of an old mariner, and one point of his journey they did not have any water to drink because the ancient mariner was cursed because of a crime. The ancient mariner actually killed an innocent bird. The bird's name was Albatross, and because of killing the innocent bird, the ancient mariner was cursed. So cursed or not, we know how important drinking water is in our life. Now, are we cursed? No, we are not cursed, but still we know that water is very important in our life, especially drinking water. We know we cannot survive without it. You know that very well. Without water, we cannot survive, we cannot exist. In fact, 2/3 of our body is made up of water. So if we think about our body, human body, 2/3 of our body is made up of water. It consists of water mainly. Not for nothing, it is said that the other name of water is life. So it is popularly told, people very often say that the other name of water is life. So water and life are sometimes very synonymous. Okay, look at the glass of water. In this hot season, it is very necessary. Now, is there a crisis in our time with regard to access to clean drinking water? Now, are we suffering from the need for drinking water? Is it a crisis? In our country, it is not a crisis now. We have plenty of drinking water. But the United Nations, in a meeting on the eve of the new millennium, identified the drinking problem as one of the challenges for the future. So the United Nations had a meeting on the eve of the new millennium, before the year 2000. Before the year 2000, they had a meeting, and in that meeting, they identified many problems for the future generation, and drinking water problem is one of them. But do we need to worry about the problem, as ours is a land of rivers and we have plenty of rainfall? Now we are in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is a land of rivers. There are so many rivers in our country, and there are plenty of rainfall. Now, do we need to worry? Is it a matter of concern in Bangladesh? Besides, we have a sea in our backyard too. So we have a sea, the Bay of Bengal, very close to our country. So is it a matter of crisis for us? Let us see.
500 বছর আগেই এই নদীকে ঘিরে ঢাকার সৃষ্টি, আর এই ঢাকায় নদীকে ধ্বংস করে দিচ্ছে। আমরা মাছ ধরতাম, গোসল করতাম, খেলাধুলা করতাম, পানি খাওয়া যেত। এখন তো আর আগের মতো নাইকা।
আমার এই দোকান করতে পারি না ঠিক মতো, পানির জন্য ঠিক মতো গোসল করতে পারি না, ঠিক মতো খাওয়া দাওয়া হয় না। নদীর পানি তো সব নষ্ট হয়ে গেল।
মাছ তো মনে করেন নাই। এক নম্বর কারণ মনে করেন যে ট্যানারির, যেমন দেন বুড়িগঙ্গা নদী ট্যানারির পচা পানিতে পুরোটাই সম্পূর্ণ নষ্ট হয়ে গেছে। আরেক কারণ যেমন এই জায়গাটা নষ্ট হয়েছে ময়লা আবর্জনা ফালাইতে ফালাইতে।
ঢাকার সিটির ময়লা সব নদীতে নামে।
এখন তো এই নদী থাকবো না, এই জায়গায় এটা তো সব বরফ করে ফেলাইছে বাংলা।
পানি ইউজ করলে ক্ষতি, বড় জমি যারা ফলায় তাগর লেগা ক্ষতি, মাছের যারা কর্ম করে খায় তারাও মাছ পায় না, বড় জমি যারা দাম পায় না।
পানিতে দুর্গন্ধ বেরায়, গোসল করতো, খাইতে পারতো, এখন খাওয়া দাওয়া পানি তো খাওয়া যায় না, গোসল করা যায় না।
এই পানিতে গোসল করলে ডায়রিয়া হয়, খাগি হয়, আর অনেক ফুলাবলি অনেক ধরনের রোগ হয়। আর শ্বাস নিতে কষ্ট হয়। এখন আবার জ্বর, দুর্বল, আগে এগুলো হাঁটতে পারতো, কথাও বলছে, কিন্তু এখন সে দাঁড়াইতেও পারে না ঠিক মতো। পাতলা পায়খানা, বমি করে, কিছু খাইলে না।
আগের মতো আর হবো না, যেটা একবার চলে যায় ওটা তো আর ফিরে আসে না।
অনেক সময় মনে হয় জায়গাটা কি ছিল, কি হলো, হয়ে গেল আমাদের নদী।
এখন আর কিছু বলার নেই, এখন আর কি বলার নেই।
So, dear students, very pathetic indeed. We saw a little documentary made on our river Buriganga. Okay, so in this chapter, in this lesson, we are going to talk about the river Buriganga in details. So, one of the sources of water in our country are the rivers. Okay, rivers are one of the major sources of water in our country. Rivers are everywhere in our life: literature, economy, and culture. Okay, so in our life, rivers have a very great impact. In our literature, we find so many poems, so many pieces of novel, and so many pieces of other literary works are based on rivers. Rivers play a great role in our economy also, and our culture is related to our rivers. But there is one question: are the rivers in good shape? Okay, in good shape means, are they in good condition? The answer is very unfortunate. So he said that unfortunately they are not. So our rivers are not in good condition. A few are already dead, and several are going through the pangs of death. So our rivers are dying, and a few of our rivers have already died. Okay, they were in the past, they existed in the past, but now they are dead, and many of our rivers are going through the pangs of death. Pangs means the sufferings of death. That means they are going to die too. The river Buriganga is an example of a dying river. Okay, Buriganga, the documentary we saw is about Buriganga, and you saw that it is a dying river. It is a river that is slowly dying. A report published in the Daily Sun describes what has happened to the river Buriganga and why. So there was a report which was published in the newspaper Daily Sun, and in that report they described what has happened to the river Buriganga and why. So what are the causes of the death of this river? Its water is polluted and a perpetual stench fills the air around it. So if you ever visit Dhaka, if you have ever visited Sodorghat, or if you ever visited the river Buriganga, you will see that the water of the river is black. Okay, it has turned black. Why? Because of pollution. The river water is totally polluted, and there is a kind of perpetual stench. Perpetual means continuous, and stench means bad smell. So if you go beside the river, you will feel a kind of bad smell all around it. But that is not what it was like before. But once upon a time, this river Buriganga was not like this. It was a different kind of river. Just look at this picture. This picture was taken many years back, and at that time the condition was much better. It is much better than the today's condition. Okay, now look at the next picture. You will find the present condition of the river. The river has become narrow, and you see the activities on the river. There are so many people active on this river, and there are so many water vehicles. Okay, there are many activities going on around the river. So it is getting more and more polluted day by day. So once again we are back to the textbook. The report says that the river had a glorious past. So according to the report presented in the Daily Sun, it is said that the river had a glorious past. Glorious means a very gorgeous past. The river was a great river in the past. Once it was a tributary of the mighty Ganges and flowed into the Bay of Bengal through the river Dhaleshwari. So once upon a time, it was a tributary river, okay, supplier river to the Ganges. Ganges means the Ganga, okay. In Bangladesh we call it the Padda. All right. So it was a tributary of the Padda or the Ganga, and it flowed into the Bay of Bengal through the river Dhaleshwari. So it fell into the Bay of Bengal in the name of Dhaleshwari. Now gradually it lost its link with the Ganges and got the name Buriganga. Okay, but with the passage of time it lost its connection with the Ganga and it took the name Buriganga. The Mughals marveled at the tide level of the Buriganga and founded their capital Jahangirnagar on its banks in 1610. So the Mughal emperors, they came to Bangladesh and they were surprised. Okay, marveled, that means surprised. They were surprised at the tide level, looking at the tide, looking at the current of the river. They were amazed, they were surprised, and they founded their capital, which was named Jahangirnagar, on the banks of this river in 1610. So at first Dhaka was made a capital in the year 1610 and its name was Jahangirnagar. Before it was known as Jahangirnagar, and later on it became Dhaka. So the river supplied drinking water and supported trade and commerce. So think about it. Once upon a time, the people of Dhaka city used to drink water from the Buriganga. Can you imagine? So they got drinking water from the river, and this river also supported trade and commerce. Okay, their trade and commerce was also supported by this river, because in the ancient time the communication system was mainly based on rivers. Jahangirnagar was renamed Dhaka, which grew into a heavily populated city with a chronic shortage of space. So Jahangirnagar became Dhaka with the passage of time. At first it was named Jahangirnagar, but later on it became Dhaka. And Dhaka is a very heavily populated city, and the space is very limited in Dhaka city. It has a chronic shortage of space. Chronic means continuous, long term. So in the city of Dhaka it is very difficult to find space. So because of the shortage of space, many people encroached the river Buriganga, and they are dredging the river, they are filling up the bed of the river with sand and making new spaces on the river. Okay, now look at the condition, the polluted condition beside the river Buriganga. The city paid back the bounty of the river by sucking life out of it. So, paid back, to give back. How do we pay back? We pay back love with love, not with hate. Okay? We pay back prosperity with prosperity. But the people of Dhaka city are very, very cruel. They paid back the bounty of the river. Bounty means gift. So the river gifted them so many things. But what did the people of Dhaka give to the river? They sucked life out of it. Sucking life out of something means killing something very slowly. So the people of Dhaka have killed the river Buriganga. They took out the life from it. According to newspaper report, Buriganga is dying because of pollution. So it is very known. According to the newspaper report, it is said that Buriganga is dying. It is dying because of different types of pollution. What kind of pollution? Now let us see. Huge quantities of toxic chemicals and wastes from mills and factories, hospitals and clinics and households and other establishments are dumped into the river every day. So think about it. Huge quantities, that means huge amounts of toxic chemicals. Toxic means poisonous. Okay, poisonous chemicals and wastes, that means different types of filthy materials from mills and factories, hospitals and clinics, households and other establishments are dumped into the river. So all kinds of waste and filth are dumped, are thrown into the river every day. The city of Dhaka discharges about 4,500 tons of solid waste every day, and most of it is directly released into the Buriganga. Can you imagine? The city of Dhaka discharges, that means it throws about 4,500 tons. 1 ton is equal to 1,000 kilograms. So think about it, 4,500 tons of solid waste. Okay, solid filth, solid materials are thrown directly into the river Buriganga. Now you can see the pile of waste materials on its bank. According to the Department of Environment, popularly known as DOE, that means Department of Environment, it's a government department, 20,000 tons of tannery waste, including some highly toxic materials, are released into the river every day. So according to the Department of Environment, okay, the environment department of our country, they say that about 20,000 tons of tannery waste. Tannery, you understand, the tanneries are all set up beside the Buriganga. Okay, tannery means leather processing industries. All right, tanneries actually process leather. Okay, so they collect leather from all over the country, and they process the leather into different kinds of usable materials. Okay, so they process leather, and the leather processing industries are known as tanneries. So they throw 20,000 tons of waste materials daily into the Buriganga, and including some highly toxic materials. Toxic means, toxic means poisonous. So they throw thousands of tons of toxic materials into the river every day. Experts identified 9 industrial areas in and around the capital as the primary sources of river pollution. So there are 9 industrial areas in our country which are mostly responsible for the water pollution in the city of Dhaka, and these industrial areas are inside or around the capital city. So the areas include Tongi, Tejgaon, Hazaribagh, Tarabo, Narayanganj, Savar, Gazipur, Dhaka Export Processing Zone, that is Dhaka EPZ, and Ghorashal. So these are the areas which are mainly responsible for the pollution of the rivers, because from these industrial areas thousands of tons of waste materials and filth are thrown into the river every day. Can you imagine the situation? Very, very critical. Okay, now how much the river can tolerate? Okay, how much can it tolerate? How much can it digest? Okay, can a river digest so many waste materials? No. If the river had a monster's stomach, then it would have been different. So it is said that the river would need a monster's stomach to digest all the wastes mentioned above. So the waste materials thrown into the river are so huge in quantity that it is impossible for the river to digest all the waste materials. It cannot digest, it cannot eat up so many waste materials. Okay, that is why the rivers are failing, the rivers are dying. There is a limit up to which it can put up with its cruel and thoughtless treatment. So every human being has a limit, alright, and like that every river also has a limit, and people are treating the river cruelly and thoughtlessly, and because of our cruel and thoughtless action, the river cannot tolerate the torture. We are torturing the river, and that is why the river is failing, the river is dying. So it's a very sad thing. We the humans have successfully killed one of our rivers. So we are successful. We humans are successful. The writer is telling this ironically. Okay, we are pathetically successful. Okay, we have successfully killed one of our rivers. The river that created the city of Dhaka is destroyed by the city of Dhaka. Okay, the river created the city. Because of the river, the city was established on the banks but that very city destroyed or killed that very river. So there are other rivers in our country that are being subjected to similar thoughtless treatment. So is Buriganga alone? The answer is no. There are so many rivers in our country, and we are doing the same thing with those rivers also. The other rivers are also facing the threat of death. The other rivers are also polluted similarly. Okay, so our rivers are not well. Our rivers are not in good shape. Unless we take care of our rivers, there may come a time when we will cry, water, water, and find it nowhere. So we have to think, if we do not take care of our rivers, if we do not save our rivers, then a time will come when we will cry for water. We will cry for water everywhere, but we will find it nowhere, because rivers are the sources of water. And if the rivers die, then where can we get water from? There will be very strong scarcity of drinking water, and we will suffer from that. So what should we do? The teaching, the moral lesson of the study is that, of this chapter is that, we should take care of our rivers. We should try to save our rivers. We should not try to pollute our rivers and kill them. We should try to protect our rivers from destruction and death. So that's all about the lesson today. I hope you understand the lesson, and if you have any questions, you can put it in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. I hope you will keep yourself safe in this critical situation. You should keep the social distancing, you should mask up yourselves, and you should wash your hands whenever it is necessary. Okay, so stay healthy, stay safe. Thank you very much.